a 180-pound cane corso that the whole neighborhood called the Beast, wouldn't stop posting up outside a newborn baby's nursery door every single night. What this family discovered at 2 a.m. is gonna completely blow your mind about the most misunderstood guardian breed on the planet. This is Maximus, and this is the night he proved that sometimes the biggest hearts come wrapped in the most intimidating packages. No cap. 6 months ago, Madison and Jake Rodriguez rescued this absolutely massive black cane corso from a high-kill shelter in Phoenix, Arizona. The shelter straight up warned them, this dog's got serious trust issues. He's been returned 3 times. He doesn't bond with humans. His file read like an actual nightmare. Abandoned twice. Abused by a previous owner. Found wandering down I-10 with a broken leg that healed all wrong, leaving him with a permanent limp. But Madison saw something in those dark, wary eyes. Something that looked less like aggression and way more like a soul that had just stopped hoping anyone would ever choose him. "We'll take him," she said, her hand already resting on her belly where their first kid was growing. Jake's face went ghost white. "Maddie, you're 7 months pregnant. This dog literally weighs more than you do. What if he's exactly what we need?" She cut him off. "Yo, I can see you still haven't hit that subscribe button. That honestly makes me really sad. Not gonna lie." Maximus came home that Tuesday with visible hesitation in every single step. He wouldn't make eye contact. Wouldn't take treats from their hands. Just found a corner in the living room and laid down, like he was expecting this home to be temporary too. But then something shifted the day Madison went into labor. Jake was scrambling, grabbing hospital bags, full-on panicking about traffic, while Madison was breathing through contractions in the hallway. Maximus stood up for the first time in days. He walked slowly over to Madison, sat right beside her, and placed his massive head gently against her leg. Not pushing, not demanding, just being there. A silent promise. You're not alone. 14 hours later, baby Emma came into the world. And when Madison and Jake brought her home 3 days later, Maximus was waiting by the door like he'd literally been counting the hours. Now here's where most people would expect the drama to start, right? Like a rescue dog with major trauma meeting a vulnerable newborn baby? But Maximus had already made his decision about Emma, and what happened next is gonna prove that some bonds are written in something way deeper than DNA. The very first night home, Jake placed Emma's bassinet in the nursery and closed the door real soft. "Let's give her some quiet," he whispered. But when they woke up at 2 a.m. for the first feeding, they found Maximus lying completely flat on the floor right outside Emma's closed door. His scarred snout pressed up against the gap at the bottom, his breathing totally synced with her tiny baby sounds from inside. "That's weird," Jake muttered, stepping over him. "That's beautiful," Madison corrected, tears already forming in her eyes. This became the routine. Every single night, Maximus would wait until the house went silent, then take his position. Not inside the room, he seemed to understand the boundary, but as physically close as possible. A 180-pound guardian who'd finally found his purpose. Week 2 brought the real test, y'all. Emma developed colic. Endless crying, sleepless nights, that special kind of exhaustion that makes new parents question literally everything. At 3 a.m. on a Thursday, Madison sat in the rocking chair with Emma screaming in her arms, tears streaming down both their faces. "I don't know what to do," Madison sobbed to Jake. "Nothing's working." Nothing helps her. Jake opened the nursery door to swap shifts. And Maximus was standing there, those dark eyes locked onto the crying baby with an intensity that made Jake freeze. "Come here, boy," Jake said carefully. Maximus walked in slow, his limp way more pronounced from lying on the hard floor for hours. He came up to the rocking chair and did something that made Madison's breath catch. He sat right next to her, close enough that his warmth pressed against her leg, and he started making this low, rhythmic rumbling sound from deep in his chest. Not a growl. Something else. Something ancient, for real. Emma's crying stopped. Her tiny red face turned toward the sound, her eyes trying to focus on this massive creature beside her mom. Maximus kept rumbling, that deep, steady vibration, and Emma's little body just started to relax. "Jake," Madison whispered, scared to move. "Are you seeing this?" Jake was already recording on his phone, hands shaking. For the next 20 minutes, Maximus stayed perfectly still, keeping that rumbling going until Emma fell into the deepest sleep she'd had in days. Only then did he carefully stand up, limp back to his spot outside the door, and go back on watch. From that night on, Maximus became Emma's personal sleep whisperer. Whenever she cried, he'd come running with that limp, position himself next to whoever was holding her, and rumble until she calmed down. The vet explained it later. Canecorsos were bred as guardian dogs. That rumbling, that's how mother dogs calm their puppies. Somehow, he's adapted that instinct for your daughter. But the moment that changed everything, that happened 3 months later. It was 2:47 a.m. when Maximus did something he'd literally never done before. He barked. Once. Loud. Urgent. Then again. Madison and Jake bolted upright. Maximus never barked at night. Ever. They ran to the nursery. Maximus stood rigid next to Emma's crib, his body positioned between the baby and the window, his eyes locked on something outside that they couldn't see yet. Jake looked out. Some dude in all black was testing the window latch, trying to force it open. Jake's hands were shaking as he called 911. Madison scooped Emma into her arms. Maximus didn't move an inch, didn't take his eyes off that window until the cops showed up and arrested the guy, a burglar who'd been hitting up homes in their neighborhood for weeks. The officer looked at Maximus and said something Madison and Jake will never forget. "Ma'am, sir, this dog literally just saved your family. That window lock was busted. Another 30 seconds and that guy would have been inside your house." Madison dropped to her knees and wrapped her arms around Maximus's thick neck. "You knew," she whispered into his scarred fur. "You've been protecting her this whole entire time." Maximus's tail wagged slow, that crooked tail that was probably broken at some point and never healed right. He licked Emma's tiny hand once, gentle as snowfall. Today, Emma's 14 months old. She took her very first steps by using Maximus's back to steady herself. Her first word wasn't mama or dada. It was Max, and every single night, he still takes his position outside her door. That 180-pound shadow who finally found the family that wouldn't give up on him. Because here's what I really need you to understand. Sometimes the souls that have been broken the most know exactly how precious it is to protect something innocent. Sometimes the dogs everyone's scared of are the ones with the absolute biggest capacity for love. So let me ask you this before you bounce. What defines a dangerous dog? Its past or the family that chooses to see its heart? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.